Welcome to the Wizard of Radical Self-Respect. My name is Jared Mello, and I'm also the Shepherd of Black Sheep. Today, I want to go over some gaslighting in action because there's a bunch of narcissistic tactics, gaslighting, that Tim Pool uses. Granted, I'm taking a risk here because the subject matter is pretty emotional. It is about abortion, etc., and the kinds of intricacies about those kinds of dynamics, but I'm asking you to not pay as much attention to what they're saying, pay attention to the tactics, because that's what this channel wants to focus on here. And you can have your own opinions about the issue, but take a look at the tactics that Tim Pool is going to use here, and I think it's exactly what I talk about. It's a great demonstration of this. And if you guys like me doing this, I'm going to do this more often. Break down some of these cluster B tactics that I see in real time. Because this is definitely gaslighting. But here we go. We're going to watch here.
We know for a fact that a lot of women, don't seek rape kits for whatever reason, because...
And again, this is going to be some intense subject matter here, but pay attention to the tactics and what Tim Pool does. This isn't Tim Pool here. This is Sam Seder. Tim Pool is the guy with the beanie.
They're afraid to... Okay, so if you don't get a rape kit...
We have responsibilities to ourselves and to others. And sometimes those choices are very difficult to make.
So just the existence of a rape kit will establish that rape has happened. Why do we need court cases to establish that rape has happened?
I didn't say we did. I said no.
And for those who don't know, what they're talking about here is what would be the scenario where you get an abortion if there was rape. And they're kind of debating this a little bit here. Sam Seder says there shouldn't be limitations on it, so they can abort the baby. Tim Pool is saying, actually no, even though Tim Pool is pro-choice. But let's go into it here.
Okay, so
a medical professional who assesses that a rape has occurred, I believe, is
what if they go in
largely
too many days after to get a rape kit?
And then there's no evidence of a rape taking place?
Yeah.
That would be a restriction.
Okay, so who makes that adjudication?
If a rape took place?
Yeah.
The person administering the rape kit.
So we would put rape kit people who are administering this and look at the evidence. And do you think it's just like completely binary? Do you think like, when you get a rape kit, like this person has definitely been raped or this person has definitely not been raped?
I think that we're dealing with something outside of the simplicity of I can go to court. It takes 6 months to a year to figure something out, which means there's a compromise. How can we come to the best determination to make sure that women are not lying, which I assume would be exceedingly rare, and we're actually going after the criminals? I do not think it's fair to put the burden on someone to perform an abortion without actually taking the responsibility of yourself and saying, look, victims have responsibilities and it's unfortunate that they're victims, but we're trying our best.
So if you don't go, so let's say for instance, like.
So Tim Pool hasn't done any gaslighting yet, but the gaslighting's about to come up here in a minute.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever, and spent any time exploring the psychological and the sort of like social pressures on people to report rape. I mean, but you're basically saying that if you don't go and get a rape kit, it's contingent upon the police department to assess this rape kit. If you go too late.
Is that who's administering the rape kit?
Yeah.
It's not a doctor?
No, I mean, they may have medical things.
Well, I was talking about a doctor. She goes to the doctor. She says, I've been raped. They do a kit and they say, okay. And then she says, I would not want to have a pregnancy from this.
Now,
say,
do you honestly, like, do you know how this works? It's not like it's preponderance of the evidence. I mean, it's like, so you're basically saying the doctor gets to decide.
I am. You don't think doctors should be able to decide to give a woman an abortion?
No, I think doctors can decide. Well, I think doctors are responsible for...
This is a compromise. I'm pro-choice, but I recognize that we're not going to live in a society where one side's demanding an extreme, the other side's demanding the other extreme.
So you think the rule should be if you get a
doctor makes
rape kit? What if it's somebody?
We're talking about edge cases. I mean, I don't know why you're getting so much into the edge cases.
Well, I mean,
how often does this even happen?
How often do people go in and get an abortion at 8.5 months because they feel like it?
So to also be clear here, Tim Pool, he's the one who wanted to bring up this whole topic for some reason. They had been talking for 2.5 hours before this, and around the 2.5 hour mark, he brings up the abortion topic.
That's my point.
Yeah, very, very few.
Right. So why are you bringing it up?
Well, because the people who you would create restrictions are going to cause
Exceedingly rare and not even an issue.
So then, why would we have any restrictions whatsoever?
Because what do you mean? So that babies at 8 months don't have their lives ended?
Well, I mean, what if there are reasons for it?
That's then requiring adjudication. But it's so exceedingly rare. You're arguing an edge case for a dramatic change in policy.
But
I'm not. I'm
it's
saying
not a dramatic change in policy. There, I think, like
it's kind of
10
wild that I'm
states.
like, women should
There
be
are
able to get
10
abortions, but you're like, yes, but in these exceedingly rare circumstances, we should remove all restrictions because sometimes.
Excuse me, I think there's 10 states at least. I know you can look this up where there are no restrictions.
I agree. Yeah.
So it's not. This is not some type of like radical change of policy. It exists.
No, this is recent. After the end of Roe v. Wade, these are the restrictions that these changes started happening across the board.
I mean, I can understand that.
You agree with those states removing restrictions?
Like I say, yes, because I think
That's not Roe v. Wade. That's the end of Roe v.
Oh, I said at least go back to Roe v. Wade.
Didn't Roe v. Wade have a provision on viability? It was an additional case that people don't bring up. That was in the 90s.
Casey.
Is that what it was? There was a question about viability and whether or not you can end the life.
The court said in Casey it just changed the date in which, I should say the week in which states could then begin to impose restrictions on that right to get an abortion.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think these type of restrictions end up killing
the overturning of Roe and Casey resulted in states removing restrictions.
Correct. Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again.
The overturning of Roe v. Wade created the legal precedents by which states could begin to remove restrictions.
So he's about to come up here in the gaslighting part in the next minute or two.
No. They could. I think they could have done that prior to that. I think they could have done that prior to that.
So the question ultimately is, I'm not going to come down as the supreme judge and just say like it must be. The right is wrong. I say, and I've told Republicans this: if I was a woman that got raped and you told me I had to have a baby, I'd blow my brains out. Like there is no fucking way you will tell me that I'm going to, by force, without my consent, give my body to somebody
You are
else.
telling that that woman who got raped.
There is some
that
degree of responsibility.
You have to announce this. You need to follow certain procedures.
And also what Sam Seder's saying here too is that you shouldn't have to need to prove it in those cases. If that's what happened, you should be able to do what you want to do. Tim Pool's pushing back on it a little bit, but his arguments kind of fall apart a little bit too.
As a victim of a crime, and if you don't, we're going to force you to carry that child to term.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
There's a responsibility we have as victims of crimes as well. And one of the problems we have in this country is that...
That's an interesting theory.
Well, it's true. Right? If you're a victim and you want accountability and justice, you have to go to court.
What if you make the determination that I don't want to go through what is involved with getting accountability and justice, but I also don't want to carry my rapist child? In that scenario, the woman is out of luck, according to you.
If you are not willing to take your responsibilities,
the responsibilities that that the rapist has imposed upon you.
Indeed, yes.
Okay, so this is what do you call this? The Rapist in Power Act?
I suppose you'd say that liberals have a view that they have no responsibilities at all. That there is no
I don't feel like I have a responsibility. I certainly don't feel that if I was someone who could be, I am making an argument.
Well, the Rapist Responsibility Act is an emotional nonsense.
So here we go. Tim Pool's about to get annoyed here, and he's going to be doing some gaslighting.
No, it isn't.
We're talking about a person's responsibility to society.
That is exactly what you're suggesting.
It's drama nonsense.
No, it's not drama nonsense.
It's prop clipping.
No, it is not.
Yes, you are. Come on,
dude.
You're not making an argument.
Shit about.
Make an argument. Don't say nonsense
The
words
argument
like rape.
is that what you are suggesting is that a woman who is raped has a responsibility that has been bestowed upon them by the rapist. The rapist has chosen you. If I shoot you in the face, I have caused you I have imparted upon you a responsibility. What you're talking about is fascistic. It is
Sam, do you think
disgusting.
That if someone commits a crime against you...
And so I'm sorry I said Rape Empowerment Act and tried to do it in a more satirical way. But what you're talking about
logic
is
centers
disgusting.
are shutting down.
And listen, no.
You're getting overly emotional.
No, I'm not.
You are...
So this right here is where he's going to go off into the gaslighting tangent here.
Not speaking logically anymore.
No. What you're
when
doing
a victim
is
of a crime, when a
you are
person is
doing
a
what you
victim of a
always
crime,
do.
they have
You're
to file
trying
paperwork
to pretend
get
like you can
accountability.
find something in here, but
You're
it
not
is
talking about the argument
absolutely
anymore.
nonsense. Yes, it is.
You are no longer talking about the issue
because
nor the law.
everybody sees. Oh, I am
You are getting
definitely
overly
talking
emotional.
about it. I don't.
You're talking about my person. You're doing ad hominems. You've lost it.
No.
So this is maybe a passionate discussion here, but what Tim Pool's doing there is absolutely baiting, provoking, trying to get under his skin and telling him, oh, you've lost it. You're out of control. And he's not even saying anything specific that Sam's saying. He's just trying to bait and provoke and get under his skin at this point.
Here's
Sam,
the point.
let's start with
You're
the law.
so full of crap.
You see,
it's
here you go.
amazing.
You can't even make an argument anymore, can you?
I don't need to because
You don't need
everybody
to make
who's watched this.
arguments.
No. Everybody who's watched this knows that
watching
you're,
you have an emotional
you're
breakdown on
saying
camera.
that a rape victim has a responsibility that has been bestowed upon them by the rapist. It's gross. It's disgusting.
You are having an emotional breakdown right now.
I'm not having an emotional breakdown, right?
So I would call this also WTF gaslighting, telling others what they want, think, feel. So you're having an emotional breakdown right now. And let's see how Sam Seder handles it.
Now,
Do you think the police
I'm getting
should be? You want to wait?
because
You
I'm
wanna-
thinking
you
of
wanna-
my
here we go.
daughter.
Here we
and
go.
I'm thinking of my daughter.
Here it is.
And I'm thinking of the idea that a
Sam.
rapist could force her to
Sam.
do something
Sam,
that
you're spiraling.
No,
You're
I'm not
spiraling.
No.
You're spiraling.
Tim,
you're not
you're
even
afraid
stopping talking.
because
Look at this. This is goading, baiting, provoking, not even saying anything.
you just
not even
found
stopping
out
talking.
You never
You're gonna-
think
you're gonna-
out
you're gonna-
anything
you're
that
gonna-
you
we're gonna
say,
say something?
and
You're
You're
gonna- we're gonna
upset
talk, or are you gonna
that
keep
I
just talking about
faced
nonsense?
you in front of all of your
Are you going to
audience.
wait for your prop
The
clipping?
Rapist
You're prop clipping,
Empowerment
Sam.
Act.
You're prop clipping.
I don't even know what that means.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. You're
What does
prop
it mean?
clipping again.
What is prop clipping?
You're not arguing abortion anymore.
What is prop clipping?
You said, Tim, you're full of crap. You're not arguing abortion anymore.
Because
you disgust me. Oh, rape, blah, blah. You stopped
You're
arguing.
saying
you
that a
stopped
rapist-
arguing and you started doing performative garbage for the camera.
No, I'm
You
not
want to
doing
have a
performative
discussion, Sam?
Dude, the best
You wanna-
part of
do you
this
wanna have a discussion,
was
or are you gonna keep
tying
talking?
you in knots about
You
the
wanna have a
idea
discussion?
that a rapist.
So you might not even agree with what Sam Seder is saying here, but it's at least saying something. Tim Pool, on the other hand, is saying nothing and just trying to gaslight and get under his skin, telling him what he's really feeling and thinking. Oh, you're having an emotional breakdown. And a lot of you who watch this channel, you could relate to this with narcissistic people where they're just trying to BCD, I call it. Belittle, criticize, devalue, and then gaslight. And it can be really crazy making and irritating, and Tim Pool looks like he's enjoying doing it a little bit here too, sadistically perhaps.
Can force a
See,
woman.
here you go again.
Going,
Here you go again. You're making things up.
I'm reiterating.
You're prop clipping.
I am reiterating.
You're prop clipping.
I am
Sam, you just-
reiterating. So he keeps on twisting and distorting and misrepresenting here what Sam is saying. It's one thing to have a disagreement, but Tim Pool's going past the disagreement here. He's using these manipulation tactics and gaslighting to try to win, and he's not even addressing anything Sam Seder's saying.
You're
getting overly emotional. You're getting heated. You're finger pointing. You're throwing slurs and name calling. You're
What's
full
the
of-
slur?
Well, I forgive me. You're so full of crap. You disgust me. Blah. This
You
is not an
honestly.
argument. You want to have
I
a
gotta
discussion?
be honest with you.
You want to have a discussion, or you gonna have an emotional breakdown?
You know what? I am going to continue with the so-called emotional breakdown because honestly,
Now, that's actually how you handle that, though, too. Like, if you own something, you become gaslighting proof in that case. Because, yeah, Sam Seder's gotten passionate, but Tim Pool has also misrepresented his emotional state. So, if you're going to be told, yeah, you're having an emotional breakdown, own it. I'm going to continue with the emotional breakdown. I like that.
I think
That's right.
no.
Sam.
I honestly.
Let's solve our problems by Sam
I
just
honestly-
freaking out and having emotional breakdowns on camera.
I honestly think that like
Come
what
on,
you do
Sam.
is so damaging.
Oh no!
And this
here he goes.
whole notion that
You broke.
would allow
It took 2 hours
for
and 40
race-
minutes for you to break.
Yeah,
You
this
broke.
whole no.
Sam,
Why are you,
You
keeping
broke.
me from talking?
So Tim Pool is not even saying anything here. He's accusing Sam Seder of using ad hominems, but that's exactly what Tim Pool is doing. He's saying, oh, you're broke. You're having an emotional breakdown. You're saying nothing. You're way too out of control. When in reality, it's Tim Pool here that seems emotionally out of control to me. And he's the one using these antagonistic tactics.
because you haven't
If
let
you
me talk
think
one
I'm-
time.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Victims of crimes who want accountability have responsibilities.
What if they don't want accountability? What if they don't want to put themselves on the stand and have to point
they
out
don't get accountability.
that guy? Okay, but they have to carry the baby, right? According to you.
If they don't want accountability, then this is
Then they have to carry the baby.
This is reality.
Say it.
A woman.
Say it. If they
I will
don't
say it as
want
plainly
accountability,
as I can say
they
it
have to
100%.
carry that rapist baby.
If a woman does not want accountability for her rape, she will carry that baby.
She has to.
She has to, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, up to 15 weeks.
That's the prop clip I want right
up
there.
to 15 weeks.
I mean, I think we have come to an agreement.
That women can get abortions if they're so choosing without any restrictions up to a certain amount of time. And then after viability would have to.
They don't want to pursue their rapists in public in a public setting, and they don't want to go
never
through
said that.
that.
Sam, you're having an emotional breakdown. You've stopped listening to what's being said.
So Tim Pool did say what Sam Seder just said, because this whole argument is predicated on it's not just going to be something a woman can do without proof. And now here he is denying it and saying when Sam Seder is surprised by it, he goes back to, no, you're having an emotional breakdown. So he's not able to address the points.
You start getting angry, insulting, you're disgusting, how dare you? This is, and you know
You
what?
don't think
And
saying
Sam,
to
let
me
me tell
that
you,
you're prop clipping? I don't know what that means, but
So it's when you stopped arguing abortion, finger pointing and waving your hands and saying, I tied you in knots in front of the camera.
yes.
And this is why people don't invite you on their show.
I don't give a shit.
I know.
I'll tell you something.
That's why you don't get invited on shows, because
I
you don't care.
care.
I know you don't care. I'm not
I
saying
don't
you do.
care. I honestly, like, this is.
You start the show, I don't want to talk politics. I want to talk about how you said mean things about me before.
Oh yeah, I wanted to get that. Oh wait,
Yeah,
no,
your
not mean
WWE
things.
politics.
No. Listen,
We're talking about how do we effectively have law on abortion. That should be a woman can do whatever she wants up to 15, 16 weeks, maybe even 22. I don't know what the time limit is. But if the baby is viable, there has to be accountability.
None of what you're saying is meaningful at all.
That there should be a time restriction on
15, 22, you're just throwing around numbers.
because there's a debate on how long that duration should be. But my position is that pre-viability, I don't know, some say 22, some say 26.
And my addressing you is that the
Getting
restrictions that
angry
you're pushing,
and you're disgusting and emotional breakdown.
yeah, my emotional breakdown to you is that when you put these restrictions on women, they in practice are impossible to actually execute. And you have shown that by saying that if a woman refuses to go in front of a court,
I never said
if
that. This is what I said, Sam. For the
If
love
it
of all that
doesn't
is
take
holy.
accountability, what does accountability mean?
A rape kit.
Okay, so if a rape kit,
You're saying I was raped with no proof and no evidence, and therefore I
they've
should
got
have
to
to
go
terminate
in.
a 6-month
They've
baby.
got to go in within 24 to 36 hours and say to a doctor, "I was raped." And if they don't do that, then they're forced to carry the rapist baby.
Depending on what you want to happen in society, there are things you have to do. Sometimes you may not want to have to do them, but this idea you have that what you're proposing is that the state should be able to enforce crimes against people without evidence.
What?
You want accountability, but you do not want
I
to go
don't
through
want accountability. I just don't want this woman to have to carry a rapist baby.
Right. So this is very 5th grade, right? There is a legal system that exists. We have to work within a legal system because we have compromises and a social contract with other people. The idea that I can take action against another person without proper adjudication is fascistic. What we have to do is figure out what are the terms for each individual
Who's
circumstance.
the other person you're talking about?
So we're the baby
Oh, so you
at 6 months.
You consider a baby a person at 6 months. Let me ask
Viability.
you this: If
Well, I consider a baby a person the whole time.
a
but I-
fetus, a person, the
life
whole time.
begins at conception, but the state doesn't.
Life
have,
begins at conception.
But yes, but the state doesn't
You
have.
believe that in the context of
The
immigration?
state doesn't have the authority to tell a person when they must give their body to another person. There's arguments over consent, in which case rape is an exception. However, I'm pro-choice.
Okay.
So what we're talking about now, because make sure you include this in the context, and I'm glad you're here. I can say it to you is a woman up to pre-viability, in my opinion, should be allowed to get an abortion if she so chooses because of the
All right. That's about enough of him there. But that was the dynamic that he was trying to pull. Again, the whole point of that was not to say, like, oh, Sam Seder's right, Tim Pool's right about the actual argument. It was really just demonstrating those are the tactics. It's one thing to disagree. It's another thing to be antagonistic, to belittle, to criticize, and to gaslight. Hopefully you were able to see that for what it was. But that's what it was. And again, you can disagree with Sam Seder, and you can disagree with Tim Pool's overall point. I'm just talking about the context. So, no, I don't think so at all. Like, if you don't see those as antagonistic arguments, I completely disagree. So, if you don't know that for what it was also, if that wasn't baiting and provoking and getting under his skin, I don't know what to tell you. So now you have more faith in me, don't care about the subject matter, but so I disagree with you, so I must be wrong. Oh, I see what you've done. Like I said, this is something that I might do moving forward, breaking down some of these things. But gaslighting tactics are gaslighting tactics, regardless of the actual opinions of what being said. The tactics are what I'm focusing on here, not the actual opinion they're saying. Tactics that are antagonistic are antagonistic. Gaslighting and misrepresenting what someone's feeling, telling them they're having an emotional breakdown when they're really not, those are all tactics. But yeah, that's really all I had for this here. But if you look at the actual video on his channel, Tim Pool's channel, there's a lot of people that said this very same thing. That at the very least, Tim Pool was being childish. Sam Seder, getting passionate for sure. And yes, I'm taking a risk even talking about some of these things on this fairly neutral channel here. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Star Mover. But again, anyone's allowed to disagree with me. That's fine. I just wanted to point out the tactics that I was seeing in that clip. But moving forward here, I will also be scheduling more interviews coming up. And I might do like some Q&A stuff here too, moving forward. So, yeah, like I said, I appreciate you. It's all good. But Q&A things I'll be doing at some point as well, answering people's questions about like co-parenting situations, other tactics, or other situations you all have questions about. Totally fine. I like it. But that's really it here for this video. And like I said, if you want me to continue doing this, I will. I'll try to point out things that I consider to be manipulation tactics or tactics narcissistic people will use. And to be very clear, just because someone's using the narcissistic tactics doesn't mean they're a diagnosed narcissist. Maybe they could be an a-hole. That's possible too. Well, I mean, while I'm here, you can ask me a question about co-parenting too. But yeah, to be very clear about all of that, just because someone's using some of the tactics doesn't necessarily mean they're a full-blown narcissist, borderline, antisocial, or whatever it would be. It would really just depend. But if they do it enough, I'm not going to judge it. I'm not a licensed clinician to be diagnosing anyway. I just point out the behaviors here. That's what I do. But yeah, I think that's really it here though for today. And like I said, I totally acknowledge if I break down political stuff here, that's going to be polarizing, right? It's going to get people upset. It's, hopefully people will be able to take it in for just the tactics as opposed to the subject matter. But we'll see. Let's see. I've been on both ends of the co-parent, started bad and worked to have an amazing co-parent relationship. Well, maybe you could share what's worked. Did you have to use things like gray rock, yellow rock, don't jade, justify, argue, defend, or explain? Of course. There's no denying that's probably as triggering as a subject matter that there is. Like that topic, I mean, grape and abortion, there's not going to be much more polarizing and triggering in that. So I fully acknowledge I took a chance even breaking that down. And, we'll see. We'll see if what the response is to some of this here. If people like it that I broke down the tactics, and maybe people disagree with the tactics that I'm saying, that's also possible too. And also is possible when someone agrees with somebody and their side, they might not like it if I point out the tactics that they use, if they agree with them. And that's true of all the sides right now, I would say. So like Democrat people, they're going to agree with narcissistic tactics that other Democrats use if they agree. And the same thing with Republicans. They're going to agree with narcissistic tactics that other Republicans may use because they agree with their ultimate point. And I think in this day and age, people who are able to be independent and see the flaws in both sides, that's a superpower right now. And that's pretty much, I think, where I am with it. So, in the end, we agreed to do what's best for our daughter and do our best to leave egos out of it. Help each other to cover each other's ass rather than highlight the fault and errors. So it sounds like you got to a place of collaboration. Problem solving and collaboration. And that's something that's pretty difficult for people to get to, especially if it's a cluster B person they're dealing with, because a lot of times they just won't. They won't problem solve. They won't collaborate. They won't do any conflict resolution. But it's pretty awesome that you got to that point. If you get to that point, you get to that point. And then things can be a lot less stressful and they can be much less of a headache, which is awesome. So, but again, if you've gotten this far, let me know if you want to see me do other kinds of breakdowns. Granted, today's video, that's the most polarizing subject matter I'll ever go over. But it was just an example of some of these tactics. There's certainly other kinds of videos out there that are not as controversial and polarizing. And maybe I'll try to find those in the future. But I think it's cool to demonstrate these so you can actually see them in real time. And again, sometimes people may disagree with me. And that's fine too. I like the engagement. I like the back and forth. I can be passionate as well. But all right. I think that's it for today. I'm getting hungry here too. But I got another shorts video I'm about to pop up here in a minute. And also let me know if you want me to do longer form regular videos, not lives like this. The cool thing about lives like this is I can have a back and forth with people. I can have a discussion. I can answer questions. When I do a video, it's just me monologuing. I got a monologue I'll do. So, again, thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully I didn't upset too many people with that. Or trigger too many people. Keep up the difficult conversations and have an amazing evening, brother. I appreciate you, my man. I'm assuming you're a man. I think so. You never know. You never know with some of these gender-neutral names. But I appreciate you, too. All right. Have a good one, everybody.